Hey everybody, so today we're gonna have Dave share the latest updates, rollouts in Sage and do a product walkthrough. So if you guys aren't doing it yet, use Sage. And Dave, I'm just gonna allow you to screen share if you can't yet. Take it away.
Sure. So give me a minute. Get my browser. Oops. It's not. Okay. So this is I haven't put this out in production yet because there's a few, well, more than a few. There's just a bunch of little bugs that I want to clean up before I release things so that it doesn't make people frustrated before they're actually looking at the core functionality. So I'll just cover quickly here. There's an addition to the crop planner, and I'll probably release these changes sometime next week as soon as the bug count goes to single digits or something. So one of the things that GIYers had requested was they couldn't find their zip code, or they're out of the United States, like in Canada, and they still wanted to use the tool to be able to estimate their seed starting dates and their transplanting dates. So we now have, you'll notice here on the left side, if you're not in the US, you have trouble, then you can click this button. And this will enable you to create your own climate. So there's a little bit more upfront work where you'll have to go find out your minimum average temperatures and your maximum average temperatures for each month. But if you enter in all of these, you can give it a name. So for example, I could say
Let's say Hungary, because I know Andrea's going to use this.
And this takes a while the first time, but then
you want me to go look for it for you?
Oh, you want to put actual values?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure, okay.
We might as well. So let me go minimum, maximum. So I go Hungary, average monthly. Let's say Budapest, average monthly temperatures. Okay, so the month of February, it's 43. So how do you do this? High and lows or the average?
Yeah, high and low.
So high and low?
So what's the lowest temperature on average that you would get in January? And what's the highest temperature on average?
So in January, it's 29. And highest is 38.
Okay.
And then it's 32.43. Well, you want me to share and then you put it in and then you take the screen from me. There. So
you want me to stop sharing?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And that way you can take my data and then plug it into yours, and then we'll swap screen shares.
Okay, so in the background, I'm typing in all the values. And I think everywhere on Earth, maybe it's slightly different some places, but it's always a kind of a bell curve or a little curve in the middle. Because there's always one season that's a little bit hotter than the rest of the year.
I wonder if that's the same in the Philippines. I guess there is. Yeah, that's true. It is. It's a bell curve because the Earth rotates around the sun and then it goes farther away and comes back. So it should be a bell curve. Let me know when you're done.
About halfway done. Sorry.
No, take your time.
I want to make sure I don't enter them in incorrect.
So if you enter it incorrectly, do you have to do it over again, or is there does it crash?
Right now, there's no way to edit a climate that you've created, but you can see all the values before you press create. So
okay, so make sure if you are doing this, users who are not in the States, that you don't press.
And I'll probably come back and make that a little more user friendly, but I'm really focused on trying to get the garden goals out, so which I'll talk about in a minute. So until I get that done, it'll probably just have to live the way it is, unless there's some bugs or something. So 47, 62, 39, 49,
And
and
32,
32,
40.
40.
All right.
Okay,
And share
so
your screen. Oh,
before I click save, I will share. There we go. Okay, so you can see I've given it a name. Now I'll click create. So you can see it's gone and created a climate for me.
oh, cool.
So now
So
you
they
can go
do
in
that
and
every time they enter.
well, I mean, you could now see for Budapest, Hungary. You can try. It tells me the planting window based off that climate. So
Yeah, but
if you reload it now,
does it save it?
so you go to custom climate, and then you look under here, and you have Budapest. And you click
Whoa.
save. So you only have to do it once.
Yay, that's awesome. Okay, so that if they make a mistake, they just tell you that one was wrong. Please delete.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably just have a delete or something like that. Or
But that's awesome. So now they can just choose their custom climate every time.
yeah, so you have to only enter in the values once, and then you save it, and then you can look. You click custom climate, and you can load here funky chicken, and you get whatever you'll get your climate.
So, and it still works the same where you have the planting calendar
Yeah,
attached.
it still works the same. Everything else works the same. It just uses the values that you entered instead of the values brought back from the zip code.
Before you go into garden goals, I wanted to ask, is it possible when you click on the custom, you create the custom climate, or you put your zip code and you put load climate data, that we skip the whole load climate data screen, because we as users don't really need to see the average monthly temperatures, spewed out on the bottom. We just want to see the next part.
You mean as soon as I click load, it goes to the next page?
Yes, but it loads it in the background, right? But we
Yeah.
don't need to do that verification. You
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
yeah. So I think that just to skip that whole page and go
Would
right.
you want that even for this?
Yes, that's what I meant. So that
Okay.
instead of you going load climate data,
I think the only thing is you want some notification if it didn't find a weather station.
oh yes, so you don't need the data, but you can say
I just thought this was useful. I was using it to double check that these values were actually correct.
oh, as a programmer.
Well, I just thought it helped if you look at these and you think to yourself, whoa, those don't look right.
I think it would be helpful as a graph instead of as a
okay, yeah,
data.
maybe I could do that instead.
Because then people, I mean, I think maybe they're right that it is useful to see to be verified that it did load the climate data and it was found, and C, that you were familiar with your average monthly temperatures throughout the year. But then instead of presenting the data this way more visually, I think it would be more, we would remember it more if the visual was the bell curve. Okay, great. Okay. Show us garden goals.
So garden goals. So the point of garden goals is for you to kind of have a project management tool for your garden, because what happens is you're trying to keep track of seed starting times, you're trying to keep track of what you're growing, what you want to grow, and then as soon as that number gets to more than 10 things, you have to write this stuff down, and then you need it'd be nice to have a single place where you can come and see where everything is. the status of everything and what you're trying to do. So this is because my goal for this, is that it should be, is pretty ambitious, is that I want to capture everything, including kind of the history of your garden, so that you track your garden over time. So right now it's not quite there, but I think what I can show you today would give you kind of an idea of where I'm going with this stuff. And then I'd love to get some feedback, or before I get too far down the development track and then the stuff gets locked in. So I will actually, even though there's two tabs here, goals and areas, I'm going to go to areas first, because areas are just areas of your garden, areas of your property. These are places where it could be a raised bed, it could be like shady part of my garden, or it's just some kind of contiguous space in your garden where you're planting stuff and you want to keep track of that area. I've just gone ahead and created a couple for we have a kitchen garden, we call it our production garden. It's a bunch of long beds that are 4x16. So I just created these here. So if you want to add a new area, you can click here and you just give it a name. I'm going to be adding some additional properties to the area portion of this. So you can describe some attributes about the area, like when you created it, stuff. Yeah, is it shady, that kind of stuff. But for now, it's just a placeholder, kind of like a container. And this would create, if I wanted to have an herb garden, and you would create that here. So if you want to then add plants to a garden, it's kind of like an accordion thing. So you just click on the bar, you'll see the pointer changes, and then it opens up and you see the plants that are in that area. So each of the plants has a little card, and this actually will get a little more aesthetically pleasing, but you'll have all the data associated with the plant that you're growing, the number of plants, the type, the variety. This is just indicates what phase it's in. So if you're harvesting, or you're transplanting, or it's currently growing. If you want to edit a specific plant in your area, in your garden area, then you just click on it, and that pops up a way for you to be able to edit some of these values.
You can edit it right now, like that. You can edit that right now.
Yeah, so if I
you
want a different variety, like I can't think of any other Brussels sprouts things right now. Catskill, and you can change that, and it changes the values there.
Is there a way to export this as a CSV or Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah, so I'm probably going to have a way to print out a plan, so that you can get a nice kind of different views of how you would plan out your garden. So one might be you just want to see what's in a certain area. Another one might be, what do I need to do this month? That kind of thing.
Yeah, like I think if you could make it based on that spreadsheet document that we currently have, the plant list, you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, that I think that would help make things more cohesive.
So the other thing, these are not populated, but my intent is to integrate that with a crop planner, so that you can run the crop planner, and then at the end, when it says, would you like to copy this to the planting calendar, there'll also be an option saying, do you want to copy this to the garden goals? So that you get all of that populated here. And I'll also, so you can add harvest. This is currently a little bit funky, but basically you can, every time you have a harvest, you would record the day and the amount that you harvested. And then one of the things I want to add is a statistic, a little tracker that shows you how much you've harvested from that bed, from that area, so that you can see, okay, this bed, I'm getting all my food from this bed, and this other bed really sucks. So it's giving
Mhm.
you quantifiable. Sometimes it's a little hard. You think that you got a lot of stuff from one bed, but in reality, our perception might be not correct.
Mhm.
So this is a way to see patterns. Like eventually you'll be able to see things like, oh, I have never got any brassicas harvest from this bed. So the,
Hi, who just joined? Minnie.
Hi, it's me, Vic.
Oh, hi, Vic. It's your cat. Dave is explaining the new feature in Sage called Garden Goals. In terms of smaller gardens, Dave, do you want to backtrack a bit for Vic's sake, or do you want to
yeah, where should I backtrack to? Just the general.
yeah,
Start with garden goals, or
yeah,
should
I think start with garden goals.
Okay, yeah. So it's the intent is once you get up to a certain number of plants, it's just hard to manage all of that information about when you should start it, what's successful. Like when you're trying to figure out what should I put in the bed next. Um, so the intent of garden gold is not quite there yet, but the intent is for you to be able to manage all the plants in your garden without having to write it down on different pieces of paper that you then have to all keep in one place. So what I've done is I've broken it down into, I'll get to goals in a minute, but there's garden areas, and each part of your garden you can consider an area. So it might be as simple as a raised bed, but it might be, just a part of your yard, like this is the shady corner or something like that. And it's just I'm going to be adding some more properties, like if it's in full sun, etc. here, but for now it's just a kind of a container. You just click on this to be able to expand that, and then you see all your plants underneath as different cards. So it's kind of like if you think of it like a recipe organizer with the little cards that you pull out with the recipes. I wanted this to look kind of like each plant in your uh, garden area would be a card. And then to edit that, then you would select the card, and then there's going to be a lot more properties in this. This is just the initial stuff, but you can set the variety and the status and whether you have any harvests. Eventually, you'll be able to add a few notes. And the idea is that you're starting to keep a log of information associated with the history of you growing that plant in that area. And then later on, you'll be able to look back and say, plot, okay, how did that plant actually do in that area? And the real intent of this is so that it'll inform what you do the next year. I also want to add, like currently, all we have is annuals. So one of the things I'm going to add is all the perennials as well. And then these values, like the seed starting date and transplant date, we can get from the crop planner. So I'm going to integrate that so that you can populate all the plants. You use that to find out all the seed starting dates, and then you'll be able to say, okay, these are all the things I want to grow in this area, and it'll create all those things in the garden goals.
I have a suggestion already. So
Yeah.
taking this from Trello, like how Andrea in Hungary organizes her Trello board. So the idea is also behind that is cards. So in each card, it should just be shaded a different color, depending, like instead of this infographic, it should be, if it's growing, then
I actually, that's one of the bugs right now, is that
okay.
I wanted there's a little icon for each plant in the database,
Mhm,
and there's a color associated with that. And it's
mhm.
just not working right now, but based off the plant family, there'll be a color. So beets will be kind of more red.
Oh, you're basing it off the plant family, because I was thinking the color could be its status.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it's actually informative. It's not just aesthetic.
yeah, the color is the status, whether it's seed starting, transplanting, harvesting, and then there should be an ability to add the picture of the plant.
Okay.
And
But
then you have the photo like right on top, like a post,
okay.
and all the data below.
But you would want it to be small because otherwise it's
It'll take up the space.
yeah, I tried putting a background and it
Mm.
looked cluttered. It just
Okay.
looked busy
Yeah.
adding a background image of the plant, like a transparent background. It just made the contrast on the text kind of funky.
Mhm.
So I think if it's going to be any kind of pictures, it's got to be like little icons.
Oh, little icons, but not, so you won't be able to document the actual look of your plant there. You would document it in the forums.
So there's going to be another thing that rolls out in March. That's going to be a journal. So then you'll be able to upload all the photos and associate it with a plant in your garden goals. So all those things you can switch back and forth. This will have the ability to do notes, but not like a real journal where you want to upload a lot of photos and things like that. So the point is that you'll jump back and forth between the different tools. You use the tool for what it's specifically for when you need it.
Well, here is, oh wait. What if you have a color ring around the plant photo to indicate status? Oh, that's a good idea. A color ring around the photo to indicate plant status.
So okay, so that might make more sense because what I've done right now is I've just had different icons, but that might be confusing.
Here's what Andrea is doing, just to give you like, and I'm not shutting this down, Dave. I'm just trying to see. These are cards, and so she has them, and this is how she has been
Should I stop share?
Oh yes, please. How she has been tracking each of her vegetables in her balcony. So she's already put them under families. But of course that's a smaller space. So I don't even know if, so this thing that does make sense like in a farm or in a bigger place like ours. But I wonder if in small spaces you're just keeping track of the individual plants and then you put them under family. And then she does have these colors here, which I'm sure means something, but I don't know what, because they're all in Hungarian.
But you could name an area like umbilifer, right? I mean,
you
could
could
manage it that way, right?
you could do
It
that.
wouldn't look, the only thing that's different from that is having the photo at the top of the card. That's
Yeah.
all.
So that's what I was trying to say. And then
Yeah, that's fine. It's still not background, right? It's not the
it's not a
background.
background, yeah. And then if the ring around it can indicate the status, like yeah, she's amazing. This, you can find this in her, if you go and join her space under Europe, you can see this in her top post. Yeah, so then you can, because I feel like here's Trello doing a really good job of doing that. So anyways,
Yeah, so if
go ahead.
let me share the screen again. So the nice thing is as you add plants, let me add a plant, just a placeholder here. It wraps, so already that's a little bit nicer than the Trello.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't want to have to scroll indefinitely.
We'll just be scrolling down indefinitely.
Yeah. So I think I can add a photo above it. I mean, that might be kind of ripping off Andrea.
Yeah.
But who cares?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do is you take
Yeah.
ideas, right? And you bring them, or you incorporate Trello somehow in this, and then
Well,
that,
I think the problem is the amount of information that you want to add that's specific to the gardening. This is where it's flexibility versus usefulness, right? Trello is a general tool, so you can plan anything with it, but all that specific information doesn't mean anything to Trello. Whereas this information could mean something to Sage. It could give you some predictions or some guidance. So that's where I think it's better, instead of integrating an outside tool, it's probably better to have this in, at least to a certain point, to have it inside Sage.
and if the cards could be rounded in the corners instead of pointy, that would
Oh,
kind of
sure. What about the color? I mean,
nice your look.
would you rather have like the kind of vanilla white and just a border like the Trello?
Yeah, you could do that.
Okay.
And
And then there's a
simple
little,
to
you
begin
want to
with.
get rid of one of these, for example, you just hit the
Oh, with
trash
trash
can.
can. Okay.
And then
Cool.
if you want to hide it, it's kind of like this.
Double click. Just click it
No,
again.
just single click
Okay.
to expand or contract. And then if you want to get rid of one of them, you just do that. So that's
So,
areas.
mhm.
And I think I'll probably have another tab eventually, like reports or something, where
Yeah.
you can see how well each of your areas are doing.
Or you can print the list when you go out there, and yeah, for whatever reason, you need to see it all as a list.
The second part of this is goals. So I've kind of done the same thing with the expand, but the idea is that you can have different types of objectives. You know how we have the monthly goals when we do the DIY chats. So I thought that some of those are pretty open-ended, like set up my bed for growing or something like that. You can't really track that automatically, but let's say you had a harvest goal where you said, okay, from this garden area, I want to get 50 pounds of produce for spring. Then you'd be able to set an objective, and then it would automatically track as you put in your harvest totals. Then you'd be able to see how you're progressing towards that goal.
Oh, where do you put in your harvest totals?
Oh, it was back here in the area. So
Oh,
as you add your harvests, it would automatically count them all up for that area. All the things in that area could be counted up automatically. And then in your goals here, you could have something saying, for your objective is that you want to get a certain, then you might have a harvest objective, you might have just a cultivation objective. I want to successfully cultivate flowers in this bed, right? So you could have, that would be tied into here, a successful completion of that growing of that plant.
all the
And
way
that
through.
would, yeah, then that would automatically progress you towards your goal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's a similar kind, I wanted to maintain the same kind of way that you edit stuff. So it would pop this up, and then you can select your areas here
Mhm.
and things like that. So you can change your status.
Cool.
And then you can have more than one set of goals. Oops. Oh, okay, that's not working yet. But yeah, there's another, you can add more goals here. You can add more tasks. Research. This is a little bit, this is gonna require a little more work. I think the garden areas is kind of closer to being done.
Mhm.
I'd like to see what kind of goals people wanna put in. But I think being able to see the kind of status on how you're progressing towards the goals.
Oh yeah. That's great. So thanks, Dave. When are we going to see this happen?
So I wanted to clean it up so that all these actually, you can edit all these fields, and I wanted to put in all the perennials. I think at that point I'll release that to production. So I think probably sometime next week.
Okay. Well,
So the
thank-
this goals part of it will evolve over time
Mhm.
because I'm not exactly sure how people want to track their goals, but this one, I might change the look of it a little bit so that it looks more like that Trello board you showed me, but I'm mostly going to be adding a few more fields that you can edit, things like your history and some notes and things like that. But this is closer to being done. So I think even though it'll be a work in progress, the initial version of it will go out next week.
Cool. I do realize that above in Sage, you know how you have the 3 tabs, core course, forums, check-ins. The forums should be the community link now.
Okay, change the link to that.
Yeah, so you have to show me how to do that or do it for me. But Vic, since you're here and it's office hours, did you have any questions or you wanted to consult anything? What do you think? Oh, Vic, are you there?
Oh, hi.
Ah.
No, I was actually typing in chat because it was a teeny bit noisy here. Um, oh, yeah, I just popped in to check out the new Sage. And I think it looks really cool and I think it's gonna be really powerful. It looks like there are a lot of helpful tools for us to plan, and I like the goals also because I know for myself that list is long. And it's a nice place to get everything into one place,
Yeah.
and just to kind of track it. I never really got into Trello and I kind of wish maybe I will, but yeah, it's really neat. Thank you
Well,
for sharing this. Thank you guys.
as you use the tool, let me know. Or unlike Trello, you have a direct access to the developer, so
That
you can tell me if there's any pet
is cool.
peeves or things you want to add.
Yeah, I'll share. So next week, right? We'll start to be able
Yeah,
to use it. Okay,
I really
awesome.
want to be able to eat my own dog food. That's the software saying is that if you can't use the software for your own garden, so I really want to get my own garden in there and feel comfortable using it on a daily basis,
Hmm.
organize my stuff, and I think at that point, then I'd probably roll it out. So yeah, probably sometime next week.
Looking forward to it. Are you guys
Yeah.
just gonna post it on the community,
Yeah,
or are you
definitely.
gonna send out an email?
Yeah, I'll send out both and I'll post even the recording of today so people can see a sneak peek of what's to come.
So the timeline of
Hooray!
that is I'm going to roll out the goals part of it, and then a couple of years ago I had this overhead 2D designer where you can actually visualize your garden where you're putting the things.
I
So
remember.
I have to I have that, but it's not quite working with the new Sage. So I just need to spend some time integrating that so that it'll connect to all the other pieces as well.
Okay,
Yeah. All right. Very good.
fantastic.
Yeah. Well, that's it for us. Did you want to add anything else, Dave? Before we
That's it on Sage, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. and with the program, it's more just trying to get more adoption of GIY community because not all the members are on it yet. So if you're listening to this and watching the replay, please click on the link to join the GIY community and update us over there and that's the new forums. So,
and if you're in the DC, the tri-state area or whatever, the DC MDVA area, it is getting cold tonight.
yeah, so
It's
don't,
like going down to 14 degrees. So if you have any crops in the garden, make sure you cover them.
absolutely.
It's like a 1-day freeze because by next week it's 60 degrees again.
Oh, and then I guess the other thing is in 2 weeks, Feb 17th to 20th, I will be in Texas speaking at the Mother Earth News Fair. And so I'll be bringing my son. So if anybody's in Texas, I know Andrea Newman is going to meet me and drive 2.5 hours from Houston to this fair. So that's amazing. And I'm so looking forward to seeing her and her husband. But we have a few other GIY members there. So I hope that I might see more. But in any case, we'll see how I can live stream, if ever, stuff from there, from Texas. All right. And that's it. Vic, are you okay?
I'm okay. This is so exciting, Nikki. I can't wait. I mean, I really hope you can figure out the streaming thing because I've always wanted to go.
Oh, you've always wanted to go where?
To the Mother Earth Fair.
Really? Okay, so they're going, so it's Texas, Kansas, Erie, Pennsylvania. They used to have it in Frederick near us, but they don't have it this year. Erie, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin this year. They're having 4 fairs. So yeah,
I think it's inherited the legacy of the Green Festival, or what do you
I
think?
don't know because I've never been to them. So I will find out. I will find out when we go. Yeah, those are the locations this year, but they're posted in the community as well. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll end here and we'll see anybody for the check-ins at 1 o'clock. Bye. Have a great weekend.
Bye. Thank you. You too.
Thanks.